I would have to say my mother. Although, I lost her early last year, my mother was a fantastic role model for me because she started her own business at the ripe old age of 70, and she set up her own hotel. And having been very, very cautious and growing up in a period where women didn't go on to own their own businesses, I was very proud of her. So I'd have to say she's my hero. Coming from a large family of 9 children and being the youngest girl, from a young age, I couldn't wait to leave home. So I built a property portfolio at a very young age, really because of needs must. So I got on the property ladder very early. And then the reason why I started the MOBO Awards was there's this huge gap in the market and there was an audience that wasn't being catered for. And it really started off as a hobby and a passion. And I always think if you're passionate about something, you're prepared to overcome many obstacles in order to make it work. We chose the name. It's rather like sitting around a table like this and saying, okay, and what are our values? What's our mission statement? What we're trying to achieve? And our mission statement was very much like honouring the past, inspiring the future. And MOBO, which stands for Musical Black Origin, was very short, memorable. We created a very distinctive logo for it, so I thought it was easy for people to see and recognise. And plus, it was, it looked very ethnic, but at the same time inclusive. And so I think that was the reasons why we chose the name, and it's worked for us ever since. I think we spent quite a long time building a strong branding policy that ultimately allows us to expand the business into other business-related areas. So, for example, we publish a magazine, we produce and promote events in other countries, we do tours, music tours, and we do showcases. We try and champion and nurture new talent. We've got books that are coming out at the end of the year. So I think it's almost been I suppose organic extension to the business, which has worked very well. One of the biggest challenges is being able to work on the business instead of in the business. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from this and starting their own business because it's easy to be a control freak and want to be involved in every detail, but you do have to delegate. And I think that leads me to one of the other challenges, or another challenge, which is finding the right team. For me, it's always been ability. Someone working with us has got to have, the ability and passion rather than the experience, because, you want a kind of a buzzy, enthusiastic team. And I think that, if you don't have the right team, then that obviously, makes it more difficult for you to obviously take to the next stage, to grow the business to the next stage. Of course, sometimes, when you're in meetings and you might happen to be the only woman, and sometimes people think, well, you might not have the skills or understand business, but I actually feel it can also work to your advantage because people often remember you, because being a woman with long hair, people always remember where they've met you, when they've met you. And I think that can be a bonus. So I'm rather an optimist, and I always look at the positives that come out of being unique in any situation. When I was growing up, I got kicked out of Goldsmith University for not attending enough lectures. And at the time I was young and I had a mortgage to pay and a young son, and I wasn't able to stay in the halls and socialise like the other students there. So I got kicked out, and then a few years later, they invited me back to give me an honorary fellowship. And I suppose the proudest moment was having my mother there, who always wanted me to be a teacher, and of course I failed in that aspect, so it was really for her. So to get an honorary fellowship, and when I mentioned to the professor, do you know that you kicked me out of this university, they told me I was in good company, and they'd kicked out many other people who'd gone on to be successful. So that was a nice moment, and as well as I think also getting the MBE, because again that was it wasn't about me being singled out. I think it was kind of recognition to, what the company had achieved and how quickly we'd grown in a short space of time. In credit crunch, in times like this, it's important for you to look at your business and be more innovative. And I think because, we're a small business, we're used to doing that anyway. So we're used to making sure, we look at our costs all the time and look at new ways of doing things. So actually, we fared a lot better in the recession. But of course, I think you can never be complacent. And I think it works from us being a kind of dynamic small team that we've been able to create new opportunities because we never want to have all our eggs in one basket.